Good evening. Today is Tuesday, August 28th. This is the opener of the Hanson Board of Selectmen Meeting. I'm going to be looking for a motion to go into executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair declares that an open meeting may be detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, and to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. Liberty Street.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call?
Yes.
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 Aye.
Yes, so we're now in executive session. Good evening. Today is Tuesday, August 28th, 2018. This is the start of the Hanson Board of Selectmen meeting. This meeting is being televised by Whitman Hanson Cable Access. Please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to ask us to take a moment of silence to remember Chief Warrant Officer Scott Landis, who passed away this weekend under truly tragic circumstances. Scott had many, many friends here in Hanson, all of whom are stunned at his death and mourning his loss. To his wife Stacy, their son Jack, and the rest of the family, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I pass along our deepest regrets. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. In addition, we also need to pray for the recovery of Patrick Landis, who was severely injured in the same crash as well.
Good evening, Hanson. Here are this week's announcements. The town clerk would like to remind dog owners that it is the time of year to license your dog. All dogs must be licensed by September 30th. The absentee ballot for the state primary is on Tuesday, September 4th, and are available at the town clerk's office. The election will be held from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Hanson Middle School. Volunteers are needed on the following committees: the 200th anniversary, capital improvement, disabilities, economic development, elder affairs, finance, Memorial Day, patriot observance, Memorial Field trustees, recreation commission, school repair, and zoning board alternate. Application for appointment and information on the committees are available on the town website. Vacancies on the following elected boards: the Board of Health and 2 members on the Hanson Housing Authority. Applications for appointment and information on the committee is available at the town website. Upcoming selectmen meetings will be on September 11th, September 18th, September 25th, starting at 7 p.m.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, so first, under new business, item 1 on your agendas, review the proposed warrant articles. Okay, so I'm gonna go through, we'll run through these. Mary, is it best to look at?
It's probably the spreadsheet. If you want more details, then you can look at the warrant, but the
Okay.
spreadsheet, we can give you the highlights.
All right, so I'd like to go through each of these briefly, and we're not gonna read each article, but recommend the ones that we'll place, and recommend the ones we can, and the ones that don't have dollar values, we can just place. So if we can have a designated person to motion and second, that would be great. So the first article is unpaid bills, which is a housekeeping item.
So moved.
Second.
So looking for a motion to place. God bless you.
I move to place the article.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Article number 2, God bless you. Supplemental budget.
I move to place.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, and then all those numbers and everything will come in, so
Yep.
we're gonna vote to place those. All those in favor? 5-0. Excuse me. Okay, Article 3. is a new ambulance for the fire department. I'm looking for a motion to place and recommend.
I move to place.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
And again, Kenny, we're not gonna actually vote, yay or nay to whether we're moving it forward. I don't mean to call this out specifically on the ambulance, because I do support it, but, we're just moving to place right now, and then when we get
Right.
the nuts and bolts, we'll.
Then we can recommend.
If you have enough information, you can recommend.
Well, for
It's-
instance, we don't have the numbers on 1 and 2, otherwise.
No,
Right,
the ones
those-
we don't have
yeah.
numbers for, we can go back and
Okay.
recommend, but
Yep.
for expediency,
Well,
since we have such a.
For instance, we do have the chief here, so I'm wondering if
Right.
we can, have him say a few words, and then we might be able to make a motion.
I think if anybody has any questions for the fire chief, they can certainly ask him. If you don't have any questions, then we'll just continue moving.
I mean, I think it's kind of self-explanatory. I
Okay,
move,
so,
I move to recommend.
right, okay, so on Article 4,
No,
No,
Article
Article 3. I
I'm
move to
sorry, on
recommend.
Article 3. All those in favor?
aye.
Is this to recommend?
5-0.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Place and recommend. Okay.
Yep,
Article 4, ballistic protection for the fire department.
I move to place
Place and
and
recommend.
recommend.
Motion's been made. Do you have a second?
Yep, second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Do you guys have any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, 5-0. Article 5, water department, the
I
meter,
move-
meter program.
And again, this is under the auspices of the water commissioners and the control of the water commissioners, so I move to place and recommend.
This money's for new water meters. Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? 5-0. Article 6, water department, water exploration.
And this is extremely important. I move to place and recommend.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? 5-0. Article 7, assessors, interim year real estate valuations.
I'm sorry, Kenny, can I just?
Sure, go for it.
I want to make sure that it's clear that this needs to go to if these wells are okay, and I think they probably will be, because a fair amount of due diligence has been done in advance, that everybody understands that the next step before we can actually drill the wells is that we have to have a town meeting vote and then take it to the legislature, because it's in conservation, and to have an easement on conservation land requires an act of legislation, because you're now repurposing land that was originally designated as conservation.
Yeah, I think the town administrator will guide us through
I just-
that
so I-
process or
so
whatever
I
process
ju-
that needs to be done.
I just want to make sure, I don't know, maybe shore up the little explanation a little, because it just sort of leads you to think like it's a red light a green light rather after that, so, but I'll leave it to you to tweak it, but I move to place and recommend. I think we already did, I already did that.
Yes. All right, so we're on Article 7, the assessor, the interim, the real estate evaluations. Looking for a motion
I
to
move
place
to
and
place and
recommend.
recommend.
Motion's been
Second.
made and seconded. All those in favor? 5-0. Article 8, building zoning maps. That's for the building department, I think I remember reading.
Yep, I move to place and recommend.
Second.
Well, we don't have a price on that
No
yet.
recommend, so we're just gonna place, we don't have a dollar value.
Okay.
Motion's been made to place. Do I hear a second?
Yep.
Matt seconded. All those in favor? Okay, 5-0 to place, Article 8. Article 9, 200th anniversary, funds for the committee, $50,000.
Yep, I move to place and recommend. And this is really just to kind of jumpstart some of the events that we need to get going on for the 200th anniversary. It's a mere drop in the bucket of what we're going to need.
Well, it's good that you're doing it now, so we can kind of
Yep.
build the kitty a little bit. So the motion's been made. Do I hear a
Can I
second?
just- Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yep, go
No,
ahead.
just you get it seconded first.
Second.
Second. Go ahead, Mr. Bless.
So I'm just, I mean, are we good on the free cash for this?
Yes,
It's-
oh, very much so. Mary and I and the accountant met this morning, went over all these figures in terms of the numbers that you see right now. Obviously, there are some amounts that are blank right now, But everything that you see in there is easily coverable by whatever source that we've described.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All those in favor? 5-0. Article 10, highway, maintenance for the cul-de-sacs. I'm looking for a motion to place.
I make a motion to place, but we can't recommend because we don't have a dollar amount, right?
No.
Correct.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? 5-0, Mary, to place. Article 10. Article 11, demolition of the McQuon School. So I think this one, we're looking for a motion to place.
Well, just to clarify,
Yes, please.
we really haven't made a decision to do this. We are still meeting and trying to figure out what we're gonna do with it. But when Mike and I discussed it, we wanted to have a placeholder there, and we can't, because if we don't have a placeholder, we won't be able to do anything
Right.
until the spring.
At least
No, that's
use that particular option, so.
Right, so I'm moving to place it, but I don't necessarily think we want to recommend, because we
No,
haven't
we definitely don't.
presented the
Yeah, 'cause we
options
don't
to
know
you
what we're doing
guys.
yet.
We haven't done all the due diligence, and the McQuon Reuse
And we
Committee
can always
has to meet.
pass over it if it
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
So anyway,
Exactly, all right.
yeah, I'm making a motion to place. I just wanted to be clear with everybody that we're really not,
And did we get a second? Sorry. Okay, Matt seconded. All those in favor?
Of placing?
Of placing, yes.
yep, placing.
Okay. 5-0, Mary, to place Article 11. Article 12, School Department, construction ramp at the high school field. Looking for a motion to place and recommend.
I move to place and recommend.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions?
And
Just
to
for
be clear-
explanation,
Yeah.
originally, we had voted back, I think at the last town meeting, for a lift for construction of a lift. They determined that a ramp would be better. So
Okay.
these funds are gonna be coming from that article that we set aside, I think it was like $13,000, Hanson's share. And then we'll come up with an additional 15,000 for our share
And said it would
of
be
the
much
ramp.
less expensive to do it that way.
Okay, but we're presenting the full 28,000, but in essence, we already allocated 13,000.
Correct, so when the
Okay.
motion is made by the school committee, it's gonna move to transfer $13,000 from the amounts appropriated in Article 15 of the May 2018 town meeting, and free cash or wherever else we may have some money that we can transfer from, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary. All those in favor of Article 12, placing and recommended? 5-0. Article 13, Community Preservations, Engineer Park Plan at the Plymouth County Hospital Site, $30,000.
These two articles are placeholders. The CPC didn't have a quorum, their last meeting, so they asked that they be put on as placeholders. They're in final form in the event they do vote to support them. If something happens, they don't have the information that they need, they
So
will
we're gonna
pass
move
over.
to place, but we won't vote to recommend until CPC recommends
Tells us they-
their own articles.
Yes.
So I move to place, Article 13.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? 5-0. Article 14, looking for a motion to place.
I move to place Article 14.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor? 5-0, Article 14. Article 15, Board of Health, assessment
Yeah.
for solid waste disposal. Looking for a motion to place, Article 15.
I move that we place, and again, we need the numbers to recommend, so.
Right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? 5-0 to place Article 15. Article 16, Finance, Fund Stabilization, $50,000, free cash. I'm looking for a motion to place and recommend.
I move to place. Are we sure that these are rock-solid numbers right now?
Todd feels as though we'll have enough in free cash to be able to fund both of those lines.
Okay. Then I move to place and recommend.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any more questions? All those in favor, of Article 16? 5-0. Article 17, Fund the School Stabilization, $25,000. I'm looking for a motion to place and recommend.
I move to place and recommend.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions on Article 17? All those in favor? 5-0, Article 17. Article 18, Cell Tower at the middle school.
Oh, I with glee in my heart, vote to,
Place.
place. And, do we, is this gonna cost, no, I mean, we can recommend two, right, or,
Well, I would prefer, I got, and this is gonna be part of my report, I got 3 bids or 3 proposals that I'll be going through probably next week, all of which are very viable. But I would wanna wait for you to recommend until I present.
so we have the whole.
Yeah, exactly, because there's,
All right.
as you're probably aware, and I've set it up with the school committee, the way that we passed this whole process is the school committee also needs to vote. So I'll be going before them on, I believe, the 12th, and I'll have
Okay.
made a decision or made a recommendation on how to move forward. So for now, I'm happy with just
I vote to
placing it.
place, Article 18.
Okay,
Second.
motion's been made and seconded. Article 18, all those in favor? 5-0. Article 19, School Committee, amend regional agreement.
Well, we had already all
To
voted
approve.
on that anyway, so I
Yeah.
vote to recommend and, to place
Place
and
and
recommend.
recommend.
Yep.
Article 19. Looking for a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions on Article 19? All those in favor? 5-0. I just want to make sure there's no questions. Thank you. Article 20, amend the wage and personnel bylaw.
This was the housekeeping to correct the chart for
And the
the,
We
verbiage
almost
is,
always have those.
the verbiage is good, Mary?
Yeah.
yes.
Everything in it? Okay. So I'm looking for a motion to place and recommend Article 20.
I move we place and recommend Article 20.
Second.
Good. Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor of Article 20? 5-0. Article 21, surplus, authorize the disposal of map 99 lot 12-2 Liberty Street. That's that piece of property that Mike was talking about, that when they built the middle school,
Right.
they kept it for the septic system, and then the, someone who told us, the
Lee.
Assessor.
Yeah.
And
they let us know that
we've
we
already
should
voted on this,
probably,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
So now it's gotta go to town
Yep.
meeting, so
So
I'm looking
I
for a
moved-
motion to place and recommend Article 21.
I move to place and
Second.
recommend.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor of Article 21?
I think Wes had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay,
Favor.
all right.
Just listen, if I don't see your hand, just yell at me, please, okay? All right. All those in favor?
Like that hasn't happened.
5-0. I think somewhere down the line, he has yelled at me. It might have been years ago, but. Article 22, thank you, 5-0, Mary, on 21. Article 22, amend general bylaw to prohibit marijuana retail. I can safely say that we can vote to place and recommend Article 22.
Yes, and again, to clarify,
that down
we
the
are
tube.
not opining on this, we are simply bringing it to town meeting. So
Let the
I
people decide.
vote to place and recommend this article.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions on Article 22?
Okay, so by recommending, we're not giving an opinion as to how we vote on this.
No, we're recommending this go to town meeting. Jump in, Mike.
Because
Be on the
that's
ballot.
not how the other
No,
articles are.
no, if you're voting to place, you're simply voting for it to go to town meeting. If you're voting to recommend, you're voting in favor of
Okay,
the,
then
the change.
I want to backtrack and say, I personally think that I just want to vote to place because I want the voters to make the decision.
Yeah, but the article's saying that we don't want retail marijuana, so if we recommend we don't want retail, isn't that what we're voting on?
No, well, you could vote again, if the board or a majority of the board felt so inclined at this point that they wanted to recommend the amendment, actually both Article 22 and 23, which would in effect ban retail sale in the town of Hanson, you would vote to recommend as well. But if the board's not comfortable with doing that, obviously you need to vote to place it. You
Right.
could, the board could, if it's so inclined, just, leave it for town meeting to make a decision if the board, or the majority of the board isn't
So
comfortable
then
making a
let's do this,
stand
then
one way or the other.
let's vote to place it, and then we can vote to recommend separately.
So I
Is that okay?
vote to place this, because that's
Okay.
the commitment I've made to
Okay,
constituents.
so we have a motion
Yep.
and second? Okay, motion and second to place. All those in favor? 5-0. So now I'm looking for a motion to recommend Article 22, amend the general bylaw to prohibit marijuana retail. Do I hear a motion to recommend?
I'll motion to recommend it.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to recommend. Are there any questions? All those in favor? Okay, so I have 3-2.
Against.
3-2.
3-2
okay.
against?
Yes,
Is that what
3-2 against, right, Laura?
No, I'm abstaining.
Okay, so you can
I-
abstain, all right.
So
Yeah,
three, one, one.
I'm
3-1-1.
placing it, but I'm not voting one way or the other to recommend or
That's your
not. I
right.
think
Okay.
it's up to the voters.
No, that's fine, you have that right, so
Can I do
3-1-1.
abstention?
Yeah.
You could abstain. I
Yeah,
mean,
that'd be great.
the board, what I really don't wanna do is go forward to town meeting, put an article on this being proposed by the Board of Selectmen, and then say, we're not recommending it.
Right.
Why are we doing this?
Right.
I understand why you're doing this, and you can put in here a recommendation to refer to town meeting if you don't wanna make a commitment
That's,
one way or
that's
the
what
other.
I want to do. What, the commitment I made is that people felt uncomfortable with the way things went down. And I made a commitment to people that I would bring it back so that people could vote. But I don't want to sway people one way or the other. I want it to simply be the voters deciding what they want. So that's why I'm abstaining, because that's the most neutral position I can think of taking.
Okay.
Wes is against.
I'm against.
Yes, so we got 3-1-1, I'd leave it.
Okay,
Well,
well,
Did
but
you
Matt
wanna- I
wanted to
think
change
Matt
his.
wanted
so
to-
I want to make sure that I understand. I do
Mary's right
not,
with
I
Mary
do
should-
not want marijuana
Then you
sales.
voted the
Right.
way that you want
That's what
to.
I
Yeah,
thought.
then you,
Okay.
yeah, then you've
That's-
done what.
Yeah, and if I could
Yes.
abstain, that'd be great.
And you want to abstain, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be
2,
Two,
1,
1, no,
No.
2, 1, 2.
Yeah,
2, 2, 1. Oh, yeah, 2, right.
Don't-
Yeah.
2
Come on,
recommend.
I'm screwing up my math now. 2,
1
1.
You don't want it.
No,
in favor.
I'm all for getting to the
Wasn't it
meeting,
2, 1, 2?
but like Mary said, we can't send that proposed by us and none of us want it. That, you might as well just throw the article out.
Oh, your fallback position, like Mary mentioned, would be make no recommendation and just let it go to town meeting.
Right.
Not to-
In other words,
I
you're
think
saying
at
it's.
this point, where the numbers are, we'd be probably better off with that, because that's gonna just be
I
worse.
mean,
We have to hold up a card at town meeting anyways. when
Which
we
is your
vote on it.
individual
You-
vote.
You voted, and so there's a vote, unless somebody wants to call for a reconsideration. There's a vote that stands right now of
Make it
2,
three for
1,
reconsideration
2
I'm fine
in
with that.
favor of
Okay,
banning.
I am
Article 22.
feeling that I should, because somebody's telling me that I should, that
Why,
I
you got it, it's fine.
should, well, because, you know what,
Yeah,
it's actually not going to
It's a
achieve
2-1.
anything to have it.
this doesn't
No,
work.
that's true. You know what? So we're reflecting that we're people who, and amongst us, we've got a
Right.
difference.
You can
Right.
talk about
You know,
things and
but we're
change it.
being
You can do
civil
that.
to one another, and it's not devolving into some,
Exactly.
yeah.
It
So,
doesn't change my stance.
yeah,
Mine either.
okay, so do you guys feel comfortable with us, here are our options. We either take another vote and we just vote to recommend and we remain neutral as a board, or we, each of our, positions, 2 abstain, 1 against, 2 against, 1 against, 2 for, because it's, for the article, yeah. Which does present a somewhat divided Board of Selectmen, but I don't know that that's particularly problematic. We're recommending the article because as a body, we feel the voters should be able to make that decision.
Exactly.
That's why we're recommending the article, and we're all agreed on that.
And we can reflect that in the explanation.
Okay.
Okay, let's leave it. All right, excellent. Article 23, zoning bylaws to prohibit marijuana retail.
So I vote, and did planning vote on that?
They voted to refer to town meeting.
Okay, so I would vote to place and refer to town meeting because I don't think we're gonna wanna step into the shoes of the planning board. But Kate told us that this, just so everybody's clear, we have to have this 1-2 punch. We can't have one pass without the other, piece. Otherwise, you'd have the permission to have zoning, but you actually effectively wouldn't be able to have anything. Doesn't make any sense. So I vote to place and recommend, I'm sorry, and just place and refer to town meeting. Yep, yeah,
Place and refer to town meeting.
yep.
You can do it as one vote, yep.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor? Okay. 5-0, Mary, on 23. We're gonna place and defer to town meeting. And the last article, Article 24, that's for the TIF agreement.
Just place.
Yeah,
So
and
looking
again,
for-
we haven't reached any agreement with anybody, we're just trying to keep that ball in motion.
Right.
So
So
I
looking for
will
a motion
move
to
to
place.
place this article.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Okay, 5-0. So now we're looking for a motion to close the warrant, Mary?
Yes.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. All right. Excellent, thank you. We almost made it all through that. Okay, next.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yes.
Thanks, Kyle.
Okay, next is, excuse me, under new business, vote to accept the donation from the Sullivan Brothers for police body armor. This is kind of unbelievable that, that the Sullivan Brothers, they've been extremely generous to us over the years, or to the police department. The motorcycle that we currently have, Sullivan Brothers, donated that.
Mike was gonna come.
And,
Did you want him to come?
and now that,
Yeah, Kenny
the
do all
police
that.
chief was talking to, Mr. Sullivan about any possible needs, the police chief was gonna come to us with a warrant article for these body armors. The body armors, I guess, to go in conjunction with the vests that they wear, the bulletproof vests, and it's armor that goes, it's kinda like a seatbelt and an airbag that kinda work together. So, Mr. Sullivan was kind enough to donate this to the police department, money so that it
yeah.
can be purchased to the tune of,
$10,236.
thank you, yep, $10,236.
So I move that we accept the donation from Sullivan Brothers for the police department for the purposes of, in the amount of $10,236, for the purpose of purchasing active shooter kits in the amount of $5,448, and ballistic helmets in the amount of $4,788.
So moved. Second, sorry, yeah.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor? 5-0. Maybe, Mary, we can send Mr. Sullivan a nice thank you letter.
Yes.
Pretty impressive. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan, if you're watching. Okay, next on the agenda is donation from the Hanson Rod and Gun. I read the other day, this is about fishing rods. Let me see if I can find it. They donate, Rod and Gun donating 12 fishing poles, bobbers, and hooks. The value of these items is approximately $130. So, we need to accept that donation from the Hanson Rod and Gun Club.
I move that we accept the Rod and Gun Club donation of the fishing poles, barbers, and hooks for, in the approximate value of $130 for the Recreation Commission.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor? 5-0. Okay, next on the agenda is item 4, discuss the possible vote on committee appointment policy. Mike?
Well, the board a little while ago had requested that something be put together, more of a protocol for what you've just mentioned. And that's what's before you now. I believe that the selectmen have had it for a little bit now, and hopefully have had a chance to take a look at it. If there are any questions, we can go back and we can discuss those, we can make modifications, but if the board has read it and is comfortable with it, I would recommend you adopting it as your policy.
Okay, I mean, I didn't have any problems. Did anybody else?
No.
I like the idea of having a consistent policy that we can refer to. Like, I specifically liked the, chairperson of the board or commission will be responsible for attendance records and like letting us know whether people have attended, whether there's been a problem, because we don't want to keep reappointing people that aren't engaged. So I move that we accept the town of Hanson, it has an extremely long name, but a committee appointment policy that's before us.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second? Motion's been made and seconded by Mr. Hickey. Any
Okay,
questions?
Yep, discussion. So, page 3, up at the top, number 7. Moving forward then, I mean, we have 2 appointments tonight. Whether or not they're grandfathered in, I don't know. But from this point on, are we going to not appoint until we have had them come
Alive.
before the board
Yeah,
and been interviewed?
that's a good point, because we have had times when people haven't been able to make it here.
Right, that's the only thing.
And we
is-
do, and sometimes we really need a person, and I think, you know, the person that Wes is referring to, you know, most of us know, we've dealt with him, he's been involved. You know, that isn't gonna be the case with every candidate, but, you know.
I would think in an incident like that, the board should point out that stipulation within the policy, and at that point, agree that they're gonna waive it, or they're gonna allow the appointment to proceed without the individual present.
Is that gonna have an appearance of favoritism, though? If-
No, I think, as you've just said, if we need to really explain the current situation, the person who would have been here before you, as I think you've touched upon, he travels the country on a fairly regular basis, and,
Right.
you know, he's somebody, not him himself, but, you know, we want to fill this position so we can move forward on an article that, you know, we just discussed 20 minutes or so ago. So I think that the board, again, this is a policy, it's not a bylaw. The board always has the option of pointing something like this out and making exceptions to the policy.
Yeah, I think we should.
Its guidelines, I think, should 99.9% of the time be followed, especially in somebody
The
being
other one that
here.
I had a question about, just because it's a bit of a slippery slope and extremely subjective, good moral and ethical character, I'm wondering how we would judge that.
Well, it's subjective.
Well, I might think somebody's incredibly unethical and others might disagree, and
Well, then
I.
you wouldn't vote to appoint the
Okay, but you're
individual.
not suggesting that we're going to air that type of
No.
thing when we're going over somebody who
No.
just wants to try to volunteer for,
No.
okay, all right.
I think we should, request people come in front of us, but if someone's a volunteer and they're working on Tuesday night and can't appear in front of us, I think that's.
Well, again,
to hold
if
their
there's
feet to
an
the fire, I think, is a
explanation,
little different.
if there's an explanation, and the majority of the Board of Selectmen is comfortable moving forward armed with that explanation,
Okay.
then you've just made an exception to your policy. But the general policy and that particular item still stands.
Well, I'm just wondering if, I'm still on page 3 at the
Yeah.
top of number 7. If there is an alternative in the case of someone that we're not familiar with, who is not going to make Tuesday nights, and how do you vote? It's like, can a meeting be arranged with a town administrator or something? Is there an alternative?
Oh, so to get my opinion, to get
Well, to
my
get
vetting?
So someone has actually
Yeah.
met this person and, talk.
A live,
Well, why don't we add that, I mean, this
Yeah,
document you haven't, consummated yet, I think you've motioned it and seconded it.
okay.
But why don't you make the motion,
That's a good
with the
idea.
amendment to that effect? And
Okay.
I know what you're saying, and I can write that up.
and appear before us, they need to at least appear before the town administrator.
Okay,
Right.
so
And sit down with them
yeah.
at some point.
Yep.
and then-
So I move that we
Yeah, I like that.
modify bullet 7, page 3, to read, "The Board of Selectmen or Town Administrator will meet with potential new appointees and incumbents interested in reappointment at," at an open meeting before making a final decision.
Well,
on the
or you could
appointment.
leave that first sentence and then just say, give something to the effect, in the event that.
Yeah, and I know, I know what the will of the board is, so,
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to get too technical in
wordsmith
the
this.
wording that you're gonna make in the motion.
Okay, all right, so you'll kind of wordsmith it.
Yeah, and I'll send it to you. I pretty much didn't, in my head, I
And
had to say.
another question, because I know this has come up before, because I've had this conversation with you. One of the other bullets that we've got on page 2 is no disqualifying criminal history. And yet, I know that it's a tricky situation to actually ask the chief to run, I don't even know if he's permitted, to
You
run a
can't.
criminal. So how would we know if there was a disqualifying criminal history?
We need to queries on everybody who applies for committees.
We do, Corey?
No.
No, that's what
don't.
she's
No, we would
saying, we would
require,
have.
that would require a query on anybody who is running for it.
So, okay, so is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, that's what we would need to do, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to
and it's-
Right, but
clarify.
that, I think that we should check with, I think you should check with town council on that one, or general council, somebody.
Well,
I mean, do we wanna start getting
Certainly,
quotas?
every person who works for the school, every person who works for recreation
Yeah.
is quarried.
It's really
it's
common.
it's really not much of a burden.
It's pretty
I mean,
common,
The
I
quarry,
know,
the
yeah.
quarry process is a lot easier than it was in the past. It's, yeah, I don't think I've done them here, but I've done
So,
them,
in
Mary
rea-
does
I
them,
do.
but
I do.
I've done them in other towns.
So this would be at the
They're
cost of
really
the town,
quick.
right?
There's no
There's no
cost to the
cost.
No,
town.
it's no
Town to do
cost
it.
There's
because
no
we're a
cost, okay.
government. But, okay, so we run the quarry, and then there's a number of things that potentially could come up.
Yeah.
What is a disqualifying criminal
But
history?
either Mary or I would make that determination, and we would,
Okay.
we
It's
would,
not something we would
We
be
would not be
discussing in the
privy
meeting.
to it.
we would just not recommend that someone be appointed.
Okay.
We would not
All
say
right.
that they did X, Y, or Z. We
Okay.
would just make
So
that
if that's something we're gonna
recommendation.
put in there, we need to make that change now.
So we want,
We're not voting tonight then, right? Even though we've moved and seconded, we're not actually making a vote tonight to accept until we've got this
We should clean
redrafted.
this up and then vote it. 'Cause
Yeah,
I've got a
so
couple of
I think,
motions hanging
You've
out
got,
there
you've
that
got
aren't
enough,
done.
yeah, you've got enough questions on
I'm
this that I
going to
would.
withdraw my
yes.
motion,
Which
so
motion
that we can
was that?
address these
Yep.
issues.
Which is
Let's get
part of
this
the discussion,
cleaned up.
which is perfectly appropriate,
All right,
so.
and you can be responsive to the
Yeah.
comments you heard,
And
and
you
then,
got the other stuff that Laura said, and then.
Yep, and what Wes pointed out, yeah.
And then
Okay.
5, and then, yeah, I would feel more comfortable with that too.
yeah.
Okay.
And there's
Right.
no
Just,
urgency, you
Go ahead,
know, it's
Mr.
No,
Hickson.
Sorry, Mr.
So-
No, no, go ahead.
Just to add to that, on Laura's number 5,
Okay, 5,
with the criminal history,
yes.
just from past experience with quarries, you will lose volunteers, which is perfectly
I know.
fine.
Yep.
Because, doing softball, and Kenny would know this from baseball, you put that quarry out there, they don't sign up.
people self-select and
Yeah, they
say,
weed themselves
Oh,
out.
yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'll just watch, so.
Now, this is just gonna be on appointments moving forward.
Yes,
Okay.
we're not going back and court.
we're not going back and quarrying, because
No, I don't
that
suggest
would
we
be
do. I just
catastrophic.
wanna make sure we're good. Okay.
No, that's a good point,
It
though.
certainly hope it's not catastrophic. I'm not asking that we go back.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
you
saying,
bring
but I
up some good
certainly
points.
trust that it's not
Yeah.
catastrophic.
Hopefully. it
I don't
wouldn't.
trust Jim Armstrong as far as I can throw him, but.
Speaking of
Speaking of
quarries.
Mr. Armstrong, your timing couldn't be any better.
Yeah.
How are you tonight?
Perfect.
Good, I just stopped by to vote because I'm not around on Tuesday.
Wow, that's good. At least we know somebody's watching us. Okay, so we have item 6, the Energy Committee. We're looking to appoint James Armstrong, 64 Richard Road, for the term to expire 6/30/19.
So moved.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. I think
Who
he's
else is
probably.
on the Energy Committee right now? I know you are,
that's a
Matt.
good
Who
question.
else?
John Murray,
John Murray, okay.
and
Sounds
I
good
am
guy.
waiting for representatives from Conservation and ZBA.
Okay, all right. And, but the quorum is 3, so you've got a quorum,
The reason we were looking, I'm going back because I started that committee, the reason we were looking for ZBA, and this is an important point, is one of the last things left to do was to modify the as-of-right zoning bylaws, and that's why we wanted someone from the ZBA on the committee, so we could finish the green communities process in the town.
Okay.
I listened to you, Matt, I'm back.
thank you, I really appreciate it.
All right, so
So,
moved and seconded.
Yeah, I think Mr. Armstrong is more than qualified.
Yep.
Looking for a motion to appoint.
We've
I'm
made
sorry,
it.
I'm looking
Moved
for
and
a
seconded.
vote
Yep.
to appoint. 5-0. Okay. Next, we have Mr. Armstrong, on McQuon Reuse Committee.
I move that we appoint Jim.
Term to expire 6/30/19. Motion's been made.
Yep.
Second,
Motion's made and seconded. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Armstrong?
Will has been after me for months.
Well, we do thank you for paying attention and coming down, and we appreciate you volunteering. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All those in favor? 5-0.
Well, thank you. That was quite
I'll be the
speedy.
first one to get quarried, right?
Yep.
That's why you ran down here. You want
No, because they haven't adopted the policy yet.
No, we know.
I've done so many sports over the years, I've been quarried so many
I'm
times.
sure you have.
I get quarried every year for Boy Scouts too.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Well, thanks again, Jim. Okay, moving right along.
And, Mr. Chairman, just, we're skipping over, item 5
Yeah.
for tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was supposed to tell you that we tabled that.
Yep.
Okay? I tabled that, so I do apologize. I crossed it off before I told you guys. Okay, next we have item 7, special municipal employee, special town council. That's item 7 on your iPads. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to designate any special counsel appointed by the Board of Selectmen as a special municipal employee, as such term is contemplated under General Law C 268A.
So moved.
Motion's been made, and looking for a second?
I'll second it, but I would like to open up to discussion.
Absolutely.
I just wanted some background on this.
Okay. Mike, the
It's-
special municipal employee?
Yeah, this is a recommendation from town council. We had some, actually, there were some questions in terms of special counsel that had done the auctions for us, that had done on behalf of the Board of Selectmen. She had been retained by the treasure collector, which was her right. She has the right to appoint that sort of a person. But as we were going through and making sure that we had all our i's dotted and our t's crossed, there was a recommendation from general counsel that the board make such a motion so that any special counsel, not necessarily the person that we're speaking about, but any special counsel we bring in the future, be designated as a special municipal employee. And it has to do with, concerns or potential concerns with the Ethic Commission, potential concerns about conflict of interest, and this just cleans it up for us
Okay.
moving forward. It's pretty cut and dry.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
I have not done my homework on general law, chapter 268A, so I'm not clear what it actually says.
Well, in all honesty, I really can't get too deep into that particular general law because I'm not all that well familiar with it. This is a recommendation from general counsel that we appoint all people that become a special counsel as a special municipal employee. I can ask town council to send me a better rundown of what exactly that mass general law entails.
We can reconsider our vote if Matt and
Yeah, so why don't we
Wes
with-
want more information.
Yeah, why don't
could
we
have-
withdraw the motion until we get additional information?
I mean, I don't even,
Yeah.
eventually, I will look it up too. I have
Yeah.
not had the time.
Well, what I actually would recommend, because this is sort of timely and some other things that are moving
it?
forward,
Okay.
yes, is that the board does move forward with it pursuant to its satisfaction with the explanations that I'll give to them.
Because we just voted the special counsel for the woman, right?
Yeah.
Laura Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
okay.
just appointed her as special counsel
For the
last
tax-
meeting,
For
I
the
think.
auction stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So are you guys comfortable with that, what Mike just said?
I'm just not sure what it means pursuant to. Does the vote change if we find we have reservations about the bylaw?
Yes.
I'm not even sure I'm not sure I have any reservations,
just-
but I feel like I'm
yeah.
voting blind.
Yeah, no, I can understand that, and I wish I could offer a better explanation to you on this. The special municipal employee, it is a kind of a confusing sort of thing. It really more recognizes special counsel as
thought you sent an
less of a
email.
vendor and more of a special,
As
they're
in-
not an employee, but they're not a vendor, they're somewhere in the middle, and again, it has to do with, potential conflict of interest or
Right.
potential
That's
ethics
what it is.
questions. And it allows someone who's appointed as special municipal employee is allowed to participate in things a bit more freely than somebody who is just a vendor.
But does the town, does the town have any liability with an employee that they wouldn't have with
No.
special counsel?
No,
No, it's like a designation, but I
It's a-
thought
it's official designation.
you sent us an email with the recommendation from town council, because I kinda knew what you just said.
Yeah.
And I thought it was because you had sent us something a while ago.
yeah, and it's not in with this package, and I just can't
Okay.
quote it off the top of my head. Again, I saw this sort of as housekeeping, but, I certainly can that's what I'm looking for. I just drew a blank.
Well, what kind of-
Appreciate, and I understand where you're coming from.
What type of timing constraints are you under that, you know, without giving away too much of that's?
In all honesty, and we had this discussion, I think, at one point, and this is why we were looking at originally appointing special counsel, or appointing that particular attorney as a special counsel, because that particular attorney has some interest in a land purchase that's going forward. So to make that, the recommendation from town council and the recommendation apparently from the ethics board is that for this individual to participate in that potential bid, that this individual be designated as a special municipal employee going forward. However, the recommendation is also that any special counsel, regardless of the issue that I just mentioned now, should be appointed as a special municipal employee for any other instances that we're not aware of that may come up in the future. So whereas that was the reason that we appointed her as special town council, and now we're asking you to appoint any special counsel as a special municipal employee, we would want to go through that. We would want to do that going forward anyways, regardless.
Not just her.
So this is just what spurred it on and made us realize, geez, we should be doing this.
Special municipal employees are not for an individual, it is for a class.
Yeah.
So we would vote firemen as special municipal employees. If they're gonna be plow drivers, if they're doing two different jobs, they would have to be designated as a special municipal employee.
So if we were to go forward a month from now and we needed special counsel, it was something that Leo or Jay or whoever we have engaged right now couldn't handle and had to bring another person on, that person would fall under this without you needing to make another action. All special counsel going forward would be designated as a special
Based
municipal
on if
employee.
we vote on that.
Based on this vote, yeah. So again, not to beat the point to death, but the reason that it came to light was because of that particular situation, but this particular vote takes care of that situation and any others that may come before us.
And just to
in the future.
clarify, because I had expressed to you that I was concerned that she would be bidding on a town property when she's also representing us, and I thought it was an inherent conflict of interest. And you,
And this is the way to make sure that it
and you
is not.
told me that she was checking with
Yep.
the state ethics.
Yep.
And she was getting a read from them.
Yep, and she also retained her own attorney who specializes, Jim Lamke, who specializes in ethics and these sorts of things. So it's been vetted through our town council, through Attorney Lamke and the state, that this is what they recommend we do.
What do you guys wanna do? What's the consensus?
I feel comfortable with it.
You feel comfortable with it? Mr. Boss, you?
I will vote to abstain at this point.
Well, I think we should all feel comfortable with it. I don't want Wes to feel like we're hoodwinking him and,
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
I don't wanna, no, I
Well,
don't.
and I don't feel like I'm being hoodwinked so much as I just feel like I do not know. I mean, I'm sitting here saying, so does this exempt a municipal employee from conflict of interest?
Well, and I think too, in Mary's case, with the firemen becoming plow drivers, I would wanna know that the firefighters were gonna be plowing streets.
You'd wanna know.
Before they actually did it.
Okay, yeah.
So if we have some special counsel coming in to buy a piece of property, I wanna know about it. By this, we don't have to know, we've already given them permission. Because this woman that's representing us now and is interested in buying this piece of property, she had to go through all this stuff to make sure that she could still do it. So
Plus,
this is
there's
just,
disclosures that are gonna be, if she's successful in the
She'll
bid,
have to file
there's
the
additional
disclosures,
disclosures that need to be filed both with the
The
town
conflict
and with
disclosures,
the state.
okay.
And as a board, I think, or from what I hear, is we want to be aware of those disclosures, and we'll
Yeah,
have
so,
them out that
yeah.
comes through.
Yeah, when, again, it depended upon who is the winning bid, obviously.
No,
if
I don't
she's
think
not,
we're
you
just
won't get any.
talking about this one situation. I think we're saying, if this gives carte blanche to, like, all of these people that potentially would have conflicts are, as being designated as a municipal employee, and then we're not made aware of the fact that there could be inherent conflicts, like, where are the checks and balances there?
Well, the checks and balances is I think that Matt referred to is, us giving that information back to the Board of Selectmen. What we're doing and what the board is potentially doing this evening is designating one particular role that is potentially going to be performed for the town of Hanson. We're not expanding that beyond, at least at this point, one particular individual. And I think that the chances of us using special counsel going forward are few and far between. Will they occur? Yeah, they will occur. But this isn't giving carte blanche to this wide swath of people. This is a really specialized and rather unique sort of position that the Board of Selectmen, just by nature, would need to vote to appoint someone special counsel anyway. So at that point, we could have that discussion. Like I said, if we had some issue before us that none of our current attorneys had any expertise in, the board would have to appoint whoever we recommended as special counsel. And then at that point, we could say, by the way, by appointing this person special counsel, they are now also going to fall under this designation of a special municipal employee, and we could raise, or the board could raise any questions it had about any
So what you're saying
concerns
is
it
either way,
has.
it's gotta come through us.
Yeah, well, it's
Okay,
got-
but to
because
put
we're
it,
the
but
ones that-
tonight, this changes the status of,
one person.
okay, so we are changing the status of this person who's been acting on our behalf for the auction.
Yes.
And what is the advantage to us as the town of Hanson?
It allows her,
It just
I
allows
don't know
her to
that it's
bid
an
on our
advantage, but she's
property.
allowed to
In,
bid.
in this one singular instance, yes. There could be other things that come before the town, that come before the board, that there could be the potential conflict that would not be resolved by being a special municipal employee, but, I don't know what those might be. We'd encounter them as we encountered them.
It seems to me as though it primarily benefits her and not so much us, because we know the piece of property that's in question has been, the momentum and excitement about that particular piece of property has been building for
Yeah.
quite a long time. So I don't suspect that it's gonna be a piece of property that nobody else is going to bid on.
Probably
I
not.
could be wrong, but I
Probably
don't think
not.
so.
But again, it allows someone that we believe has an interest in that particular piece of property to bid on that particular piece of property. So it is to the town's advantage to a certain degree. Again, nothing's cast in stone. I mean, all this does is allow her to participate, should she so choose. It doesn't mean that she will win the bid. It doesn't mean she'll even put in a bid. It just, again, it's just the impetus behind us getting a recommendation from general counsel that any municipal employee, any special counsel going forward should be designated as a special municipal employee.
But put a different way, if we should decide not to vote for this, is she able to still
No.
bid on that property?
No.
Okay,
So that's what it comes down to.
that is what it comes down to.
So let her bid, I
Mr.
hope
Chair,
she's
we have a comment.
town gets a lot of dough.
Okay, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Good, Mr. Armstrong.
Yeah, just a quick question. I know as a municipal employee, you limit your liability, and if you make these people limited, a special employee, do they also have that limited liability?
Right, isn't that the point? Yes. It seems
So
to
we're
me.
doing, what it sounds like is you're doing this for their benefit, there's not much benefit for the town.
That's what I was saying in response
Yeah,
to,
the only
like,
benefit to the
you know.
town is allow them to
We have
bid
one
on the
more bidder.
property.
We have one more
And you'd have
bidder.
another,
Yeah.
bidder.
But, and can I just say, I'm really not particularly interested in this person and this property. I'm
Right.
just looking at a much bigger can of worms that I simply don't understand, that I don't know, I just don't understand where the advantage is 20 years from now to another situation.
There may
that-
never be another situation.
Or where the
like
pitfalls are
Well,
20
but
years
that's
from
the
now.
point, where the
Yeah.
pitfalls are that we'll say,
Thought we already voted.
I didn't know that, and I honestly didn't know
You
that.
voted on her individually to be special counsel. Now, what you're voting on is any special counsel going forward is designated as a special municipal
But
employee.
we've already
You,
voted.
you've already, yeah, she's already
She's already
she's
set.
already set in terms of what she's doing for the town of Hanson.
She's
That's
already
kind of-
special
She just-
counsel,
yeah.
but she is not already a special
No, she's
municipal
not.
employee.
Right, she
But
is
she can
not.
still bid on
No,
that.
not
property.
until
No,
she's a
not
special
until we
municipal
vote on this.
employee.
No, she'd have to be a special municipal employee.
Because she's, special counsel.
See, I mean, I would not object to designating this particular person.
It's the carte
If
blanche.
that's what
Yeah.
we as a board are interested in, but to have any town council in the future who shows up, any
Special
any
town
special
council.
council who shows up, to be given carte
But the
blanche
board,
before
we
we.
as a board have to vote on a special counsel.
Exactly, you'd have the opportunity at that point to, if you had concerns about that particular person and giving them that sort of designation, you could at that point not appoint that person as
Okay,
special
but put it
as a
different way.
special counsel.
Right now, the only
I'm
special
comfortable with
counsel
that.
we have is
Sure.
this individual. And we're voting to, because she's our only special counsel, this would only apply to her now.
Yes.
But going forward, every other special counsel, we would.
Let's say next week we have two
vote.
special counsel, we have to vote
Yeah.
for them to be special
Yeah.
counsel.
So there's
and
a
vote separately to
gatekeeping.
give
And
them
Laura,
this
are
authority.
you-
No,
no,
not
no,
correct,
no,
not
no.
correct.
Okay.
You don't vote a person, you vote a
The
position.
position.
So,
Okay,
but we would know.
where your firewall would be at that point is you do not appoint the person as special counsel. Hence, they don't become a special municipal employee. So you would still have control over that. So it wouldn't be, Katie by the door and every,
So it'd be the position, not the.
Exactly, and you don't necessarily, if you have a problem with somebody that we recommend to be special counsel for X, Y, and Z, you just don't appoint him as special counsel, and then it all goes away.
But, and we all know that now, at this point in time, because we've had this conversation. But prospectively, how would a Board of Selectmen know? I think they'd unwittingly be appointing somebody as special municipal employee by virtue of
Yes, you would
appointing
be.
them
Yes,
special
you're correct.
counsel, and they wouldn't have the benefit
They
of this
would-
whole discussion.
They would need
Well,
to.
they would have to do their due diligence like this board is.
Well, what they would need, in all honesty, Laura, is they need somebody in this position or this position telling them that. That would be the responsibility of staff to make sure that the Board of Selectmen is fully
I don't
fully
think-
understands
I
the
don't think we can worry
consequences
about
of
what
what
future
action they
selectmen
take.
decisions are gonna make. That's-
Can we narrow the scope of this and say that we're just doing it for this one person?
No,
We can't.
no, you cannot.
No, but the board
But in
can't,
effect, that's what you're doing right now, though. Because there's only one, we've only
But
got one
I'm just
special
saying, I
town
don't wanna
council.
hamstring future boards by having to,
No, it's, as I said, it goes with the position, it does not go with the individual. And again, the way that you control that at this point is that you maintain the fact that that's the only individual that's appointed special special counsel.
All right,
Okay.
so let's do we have,
There
we
was
have
a
a motion
motion.
and a second, right?
yeah.
yes.
Let's move to the vote. All those in favor?
I'm gonna vote.
Three.
I
I
Now you
respect
vote,
where you're
now say
going. with
those opposed.
Those opposed? Are you, Laura?
I am opposed, yeah, at
Okay.
this point, I am.
Okay, so
Yeah.
3-2. Thank you. All right. Next is the town administrator's report.
As usual, we've touched upon a few things already. The most important of which, the most significant of which, the one that I'm most happy about is the fact that we received 3 very viable proposals for the placement of a cell tower over at the middle school. I will be meeting, I will make a determination with staff's assistance and with legal assistance as to who the winner of that particular proposal should be. At which time I will pass that on to the Board of Selectmen, and I will also visit the school committee. As I mentioned previously, there is the necessity in the bylaw that we passed that the school committee have a vote on this as well. So we do, as you saw, we've got a placeholder on the warrant for this. Again, I am very happy with all 3 of the proposals. As with many things, sometimes they're not completely apples to apples. One has some more upfront money and less of a percentage going forward. Another has a percentage that's more advantageous going forward with not any money up front. So, I have to go through the process of seeing which the most valuable is, and then I've got to do, my due diligence and checking into, the background on these companies. So, I think it's safe to say that, the next meeting is on the 11th of September, that I can bring a recommendation before the Board of Selectmen, and the following night go to the school committee and make a recommendation to them. And then at town meeting, we can move forward and hopefully town meeting approves it. And
Mike, quick question on that. Is any of them, do you know off the top of your head, are they proposing to have multiple carriers on there?
oh, sure,
Okay.
yeah. Well, the whole way, bless you, the whole way that it works is, these are individual companies, not necessarily, but not exclusively, connected with a carrier. I think one of them actually is the arm of another carrier. However, typically what they do is they're almost speculators. They come and they build the tower, and then they rent out spaces to the tower to whoever's interested in renting the
Oh,
space
to
out.
different carriers.
So you could have one carrier, you could have, I don't know, 12 different carriers if there's 12 out there. And what I will say is, the fact that we had 3 very good proposals given to us means that we've got 3 companies that have put the finger in the air and know they're gonna make money off of this.
Right.
And then a lot of carriers are gonna take advantage of that location for reasons all of you know better than I do, having, lived here your whole lives.
That's great.
And I've had 2 years of drop calls, you've got years and years and years of them. So, I would imagine that they will be very successful in getting getting tenants on that particular pole. And if I'm not mistaken, all 3 of the proposals not only have given us a proposed lease, year-to-year lease rate, but also a piece of the revenues from each of the carriers that they would put on, so, which is typical. So it, as I've always said, obviously, we'd like the money. We're certainly not gonna turn down the money. It's, we're not gonna pave the streets in gold with it, but it's an appreciable amount of money. But it's a public safety concern, and that we've certainly seen in, time and time again, those last storms that we had, so. Very happy about it.
Yeah, I'm very happy
Very
too.
happy about
Thanks.
it.
Keep the gas pedal down on that one.
I think you'll hear a loud cheer from the entire town of Hanson when we get better cell service.
Selectman Hickey and I tomorrow at 4 o'clock will be meeting with some people from Pembroke to have a conversation about Oldham Pond. Yeah, I'm not sure where things stand with the pond. This is really kind of, I think, the reinvigoration of some conversations between the 2 towns as to the disposition of the pond. I believe it has a significant amount to do with trying to clean it up and mitigate some of the problems there, but Selectman Hickey and I should be able to report that out to the board at the next meeting, so that's tomorrow at 4. We had a kickoff meeting with our auditors today, first thing this morning, treasurer collector, the accountant and myself, along with 3 representatives of the auditing company. So that's just a yearly thing. It started up. They've asked some questions. We've asked them some questions. We've kind of told them the things we'd like them to take a look at. They've asked us to get them some information. It's an ongoing process. It's just, we began it for for the past fiscal year. I am sorry to report, and this kind of dovetails into what we were talking about with the potential article for the demolition of McQuon, that I did put out an RFP to see if there were any companies out there interested in, partnering with the town or maybe going it on their own for senior housing, for assisted living, so on and so forth. But we got absolutely no responses. So, we did our due diligence, I think, on that. We tested the water on that, and that, obviously, we had no takers, so it doesn't necessarily at this point look like a viable option. So it's something that I've called a reuse committee meeting for Tuesday at 7 o'clock, next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. So we will have that discussion with the group. We will talk about any other options. I know we've had a quick conversation about some other options that I'm very grateful that you'll bring to the conversation. And, we'll move forward as appropriate, bring a recommendation back to the Board of Selectmen, and if the recommendation in the end is to demo, then that particular article will stand. If not, we'll move in another direction. And speaking of meetings, I've also called a TIF committee meeting for next Thursday. My original, I started to look at the calendar and I started to get a little worried about the timing. As I think I had said to the board at the last meeting, my preference would have been to brought in somebody from Old Colony or from the state to do kind of a primer on how the TIF process works. What we're going to do instead, if the proponent, and they haven't gotten back to me yet, if the proponent is so willing, we will just have an initial meeting and hear the proponent out in terms of what they're looking for, and then we'll kind of back engineer it. We'll take our questions that come from that particular meeting, and then we'll vet them as necessary through the state or through Old Colony. But I get to the point where I had nightmares about it being, the end of September, and we hadn't gotten to where we needed to be, and we had to pass on it. So I want to get all the information on the table in front of the committee. And again, if we have, it may be rather simple. And I think it actually is going to be fairly simple. I don't think there's a lot of moving pieces to this. But what that will allow us to do is some time to go and backtrack and speak to some of the people, some of the professionals in the economic development world. And lastly, I wanted to mention, and this is in concert with what the Board of Selectmen has put down as one of the goals and objectives for this particular year. Carol and I will be meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock to start working on putting together a cable, if maybe more than one show, but at least one show where we start talking about board and committees and what the opportunities are, what exactly it consists of being on one of these boards, and hopefully bringing in members of those boards. I would anticipate probably the chairman, and get that information out. So, killing a couple birds with one stone, soliciting new members, giving just the general public maybe a little more glimpse as to what these particular committees do, and giving the general public a look at some of these committee members that perhaps they haven't seen before. So putting a face to some of the names in some of the committees. So it kills several birds with one stone.
That sounds awesome, and you know what, I ran across something, I was going to my first Old Colony Planning Council meeting tomorrow night, so I was looking at some of their materials, and that gave rise to me looking at a town that does a Citizens Academy. Just new to this, you don't have to commit to it one way or the other, but it's essentially like 1 hour sessions on various components, financing, safety, highway, and people sign up in advance so that they can learn and become more engaged. And
I'm familiar with them.
okay,
Yep.
so think about whether that might be something that
Yep.
we do. And what type of ETA are you anticipating in terms of the goals that we discussed and putting deliverables in?
But the remaining ones?
Yeah.
I think that we had said those were more kind of sliding, but I can give you something like that at the next meeting. So that
Okay.
was the only outstanding one, and
Yeah.
what we had discussed at the last
Okay.
meeting.
Well, and I know Mr. Bloss had suggested the plastic bag, but you're gonna kind of defer that to May, because it seems to me as though there's some lead time to have conversations with local impacted businesses about, what is this gonna mean for you? How much of a burden is this? Are you, how are you gonna handle it, that type of thing? And then hearings and what have you. Also, Mike, on the McQuon reuse, I think it's our intention, after we get all of our various pieces of information together, to have some public, aside from Board of Selectmen meetings, but like a public, I don't wanna call it a hearing, cause it's not really required to be a hearing, but like a.
No, public information
Yeah,
session.
okay, just an FYI. And along the same wavelength that you were speaking about with the McQuon reuse of the fact that we didn't get any responses to the RFP, we also had discussed with housing whether that was something they might want to partner with, and their suggestion was actually go to RFP. So we can see that this is not bearing a lot of fruit on that
No,
particular
no.
angle.
And, in all honesty, I wasn't particularly surprised by it because of the condition of the building,
Yeah.
the cost to bring it up to speed, the asbestos, the sprinkling, the age of the heating and cooling system. It's extremely prohibitive, but, we didn't want to, bless you, we didn't want to just discount that,
Right.
on our say-so. We wanted to go through a full process to, fully vet it, and I think we have at this point,
Okay,
at least that particular option.
thank you.
Okay, next, approve the minutes for August 14th, 2018. That's item 8 on the agenda. Did everyone get a chance to review the minutes?
Yep, so moved.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? 5-0. Okay, one-day liquor license. I'm looking for a motion to approve all the Camp Colony liquor licenses as printed on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor? 5-0. Committee reports. Laura, 200th Anniversary Committee.
We didn't have a quorum, so we didn't meet. Next meeting is September 27th, and we'll have more to report at that time.
Okay, thanks. Final Plymouth County Hospital Reuse Committee. Matt?
As CPC wasn't able to meet, we had no new business.
Okay. Excellent. Waupun School Reuse Committee.
We're meeting next week, and I think you guys know all the rest of the updates.
Okay. In the Highway Building, we have not met. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to say?
September 13th, Plymouth County Advisory Board.
No, I sent an email out that that's been canceled.
Oh.
I sent come on, I know, I'm so terribly sorry. But something
December
happened, so
6th?
it's December 6th, I think?
I think.
Yes.
Is it you?
No,
Is it you? Are you?
I
No.
think yeah, you're the alternate now, and
No. Oh, is that what
Uh,
happened? No, I'm pretty sure
I-
Wes was the member and you were the alternate.
Yeah, but then
You went in for
Wait.
Wes, I believe.
He did, so
Yes.
he's already attended a meeting.
and we kind of switched. or
Oh,
whatever.
okay, all right.
But
So, do we need to revote that?
Yes, because we had voted the opposite.
Right, but I mean, it depends on
still
who
the-
attends.
but he's
Either
still
one
the
of you can
alternate.
Yeah,
attend.
I'm still the
It's-
alternate.
It's an
It
alternate.
Wes
Right.
will be
You
fixing
can
my
still
lights,
attend, but
Okay.
my Christmas lights, my holiday lights. Wes will be fixing them. I'll go to the meeting.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Just
I-
make sure
I'm
Jim
sorry,
appears
Mary,
in
I
a
didn't
majority
get
of them,
that
that's
email.
all.
Okay, because I sent it to both your emails, both the
did.
town email and
Okay.
your other one,
Oh,
so.
Okay.
But that was, I did Monday? Or
I'm
maybe
looking
last
for a
Thursday?
motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? 5-0. Thank you, Carol.